January the 16th, 1979. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, the self-proclaimed King of Kings, flees his country, never to return.
I was thinking of my husband at the airport when he had tears in his eyes, and I was thinking a man who has dedicated all his life for the well-being of the Iranians and development of Iran and progress of Iran.
But for the many thousands of Iranians who had taken to the streets in protest at his reign, he was a hated figure, and they greeted his demise with joy. It was an inglorious end for a monarch who was both a modernizer and an autocrat. To his supporters, he was a patriot. For his critics, he was a Western puppet. But who really was the last king of Iran?
There is a paradox at the heart of this man. He was a man who was very averse to conflict, and he was a man who would literally leave the scene anytime the going got rough. And there was this other public side to him, this despot, this authoritarian figure.
Mohammad Reza was born in Tehran on October the 26th, 1919. His father, Reza Khan, was a military officer who headed a British-orchestrated coup against the ruling monarchy, and in 1925 declared himself Shah, or King of Iran, changing his name to Reza Pahlavi and founding the Pahlavi dynasty.
When Reza Khan becomes Reza Shah, the son who was the darling of the mother, the boy is suddenly taken from her embrace and put in a court to live on his own and live under completely new circumstances.
His life suddenly changed. Gone were the normal, carefree comforts of family life. He was now a prince, destined one day to be an absolute monarch.
I interviewed one of his friends, and he said, you know, I used to play with them, we used to play hide and seek. And the prince said something fascinating to the young boy. When people leave the room, when they are around, call me what they say. But when we're together, we can play the same games. He clearly wanted that contact. And that, I think, truly made it difficult for him all his life.
While Mohammad Reza was being groomed as the future king, his father, Reza Pahlavi, embarked upon an ambitious modernizing program while vigorously promoting both nationalism and secularism, values that his son would later inherit.
I think that is one of the most profound influences in his life. His rather tormented relationship with his father. Most people talk about his father as being someone who sort of overshadowed him, but there's as much an effort in him to overshadow his father.
At the age of 12, the young prince was sent to study in Switzerland, where he developed a lifelong taste for Western culture. On his return to Iran, Mohammad Reza enrolled in military school, graduating in 1938.
The Prince of Iran and his bride, Princess Fawzia.
The following year, with the encouragement of his family, the Crown Prince married the sister of King Farouk of Egypt, Princess Fawzia. But if his father had hoped that the marriage would ensure the stability of the Pahlavi dynasty, he was mistaken. In 1941, as World War II raged, British and Russian forces invaded and occupied Iran and forced the powerful and domineering father, Reza Shah, to abdicate in favor of his son, who they hoped would be easier to manipulate. Reza Pahlavi was sent into exile, and he never saw his son again. On September the 16th, 1941, at just 21 years of age, Mohammad Reza became Shah of Iran.
The Shah was, I think, a very unwilling king. To quote Shakespeare, greatness was thrust upon him. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon him. Shah had political power thrust upon him.
With the young monarch installed, the British felt assured that their vast oil interests in Iran were secure. But their involvement would lead to accusations that the young king was an illegitimate ruler installed by a foreign power. And despite his father's efforts to modernize Iran, the Shah inherited a nation beset by economic problems.
In the early 1940s, Iran was still a rural society, underdeveloped and uneducated, and there was a lot of poverty and a lot of endemic diseases like malaria, like smallpox, like trachoma.
The Shah of Iran, whose visit to the American aircraft carrier Valley Forge reflected...
The young king did little to tackle these issues. Instead, he focused on establishing his power base. But his personal life became the focal point of world attention. In 1948, he divorced his first wife after having one daughter, Princess Shahnaz. 2 years later, the Shah remarried. His second wife, Soraya Esfandiari Bakhtiari, was said to be his greatest love. To the outside world, it seemed that the Shah was a popular ruler, presiding over a united and grateful nation. But the conditions were set for growing opposition to his reign. His respected Prime Minister, Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh, fiercely opposed British ownership of Iranian oil reserves. In 1951, he nationalized the industry, a move supported by a wide cross-section of Iranian society and by the Communist Tudeh Party.
This economic and political influence, which the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, with the full support of the British government, was exercising in Iran, deprived the country from the economic independence. So it became inevitable that the oil company had to be nationalized.
The move was vehemently opposed by the British, who were reluctant to lose their oil profits, and by the US, who interpreted the move as a sign of the growing influence of communism.
Persians think that by nationalizing oil, they are going to get rich. Unfortunately, the reverse will be the case.
The CIA wanted to overthrow the democratically elected Prime Minister. They turned to the Shah for help. Worried about the outcome, he fled to Rome. In August 1953, the CIA successfully ousted the Prime Minister in a coup d'etat. He was arrested, tried, and imprisoned. The Shah returned home and was reinstated as king. A new government was installed. But the episode cemented the Shah's image as a creation and stooge of the West forever. Secular supporters of Mossadegh, as well as religious conservatives, were united in their opposition to foreign interference and the Shah's reign.
He didn't have any legitimacy. Even the last remnant of his legitimacy, he lost it after coming back through a military coup.
The Shah was painfully aware that it was Mossadegh and not he who was the Iranian national hero, and he held the former prime minister under house arrest for the rest of his life.
After Mossadegh, the Shah decided that he's never going to allow another prime minister who is independent and has a political base of his own to come to power, and he didn't.
Increasingly autocratic, the Shah would embark on a radical modernization program in the years ahead. But his policies would cause even greater divisions within Iranian society and ultimately lead to his downfall.